Welcome to Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. Charter is proud to be welcoming candidates for judge in the Los Angeles County Superior Court. They are running for an election in November. We have one candidate with us for office number 42. He is Efrain Matthew Aceves. His opponent, Alicia Molina, declined our invitation to join us. There are 4 races where there are 2 candidates running as a result of the primary. Ms. Molina is the only one who declined to join us. So we appreciate you being here. I want to speak about you, sir, and let's talk about your background and what you would bring to the bench. You started in law enforcement even before law school.
Yes, I did. Brad.
Tell us about it.
Right after high school, I went directly to UCLA, where I earned my bachelor's, and then I became a federal probation officer for 2 years.
Wow.
There, I had the opportunity to write pre-sentence reports, and I was in the courtroom, and I saw what the attorneys were doing, and I thought to myself, I think I can do that.
I can do this, right? I can do
and
this.
So I decided to apply to go back to UCLA, and I was fortunate enough to get back in. And I earned my law degree there. And I knew when I started there that I wanted to work for the DA's office. I had asked around. I was in the federal system at the time, but it seemed that there was a lot more action in the state system, and so that's where I wanted to be. And I was fortunate enough to apply, and shortly after graduation, be able to be hired by the district attorney. And I've been there since then.
And let's talk about that. I didn't tell you this before. I used to be a lawyer.
Okay.
And I did the private route. I worked for a judge for a year, but then I went to a large law firm and then a studio. And so you took the public sector route, and I honor you for that. But I really want to dig a little deeper. Why? I mean, private attorneys can make a lot of money, but you said, nope, I want to be a prosecutor. Why?
It's true. And, coming from a top 20 school, a
Right.
lot of my classmates were like, why are you doing
Right.
that? You've done really well in law school. You could write your own ticket.
Right.
But for me, it was important to be involved in the public sector. And the reason why is, I come from humble beginnings. My family we lived in the area, the unincorporated area of Whittier. That's where I grew up. And there was, a lot of gangs and a lot of, negative activity going on there while I was growing up. And frankly, I was fortunate to be one of the few from the area to be able to receive such a great education and be able to become an attorney. And so I've always felt it incumbent upon myself to be able to give back to the community. And I'm currently serving at the Norwalk Courthouse, which feeds the cases from the area where I grew up. And I'm able to make sure that I represent those individuals well. It just gives me a great sense of accomplishment.
And let's talk about what you've been doing over the last several years. Your ballot designation is Child Molestation Prosecutor. You're a deputy DA focusing on child molestation cases. I'm rendered speechless. I can't even imagine what it must be like for you to day in and day out work on those cases. You're still doing those cases?
Yes, I am. Yes, it's difficult. Most of my career, I've prosecuted domestic violence cases and child molestation cases. So after serving in the elite unit of the domestic violence unit, the family violence division, I've been doing these cases now for the last 2 years, and I had done them before that. And it's tough. As a father of 2, I have a young daughter who's 12 years old and a son who's 10 years old. It's difficult to work these cases, but someone has to do it. And again, I feel very good with the work that I do. I just finished up a trial a couple of weeks ago, and it's heart-wrenching when you have a victim who's 6 years old and you're having to present these cases, but someone has to do it, and I feel that I do a good job, and it makes me proud of the work that I'm able to do for them.
I want to talk about your experience. You have been lead counsel on over 100 jury trials.
Yes.
Clearly, one could argue that is of benefit should you become a Superior Court judge. The flip side, if I can argue it, is they're all criminal. I guess you had a couple divorce cases, but essentially, did you do any divorce cases?
No.
Okay, so you've only done criminal cases.
Yes.
That's it. You may wind up in a civil division. So talk to me about how, if you become a judge, how only having done criminal law colors your position.
Well, unlike most DAs who happen to run for judge, I have a myriad of other experiences that I bring to the table. I was the president of a bar association in 2007, so I led one of the largest ethnic bar associations in the nation. And so I've really been involved with a lot of other things outside of the legal field, outside of the criminal field. I also sit on a school board. I'm the president of the Whittier City School Board.
Really?
Yes.
Will you have to resign that position?
Unfortunately, if I win, yes, I will.
Okay.
I've been on there 11 years, so it's my third term. That's kind of one of the downsides of running for judge. But this is my career. This is what I've been wanting to do. And so, to get back to the question, I think what's important is that I have the experience in trials. And of course, I've only done criminal trials, but I have a myriad of other experiences because I'm kind of the one who's always looking at our contracts at the school district. I'm also on a hospital board, and I've been able to have the opportunity to see other things. And I think I have the mental capacity coming from a top 20 school to be able to go in there. And I know the process, so it's just a matter of applying another law.
I want to ask about the ever important ballot designation. Your ballot designation, like we said, child molestation prosecutor. Your opponent, who is not here, had filed to have her designation be domestic violence attorney. Litigation was brought against her, I think by your campaign. She was not successful. The court ruled that that was not an accurate designation. Her designation is now attorney at law. Why is it important, why was it important for you to bring litigation on that issue about how someone classifies themselves on the ballot?
Well, it was important because when you're talking about running for judge, it's important that you be honest and you be transparent. And when you're trying to pass off yourself as somebody who you're not, that's not being honest, and you want to be a judge. So we gave Ms. Molina the opportunity to rectify that. My attorney sent her a letter because it was obvious that it was being misleading. And ultimately, the court found that that designation was misleading because she does not
practice domestic violence.
Exactly.
She practices, I believe, immigration.
Exactly.
She has volunteered occasionally with domestic violence programs. But does this then create a situation where you're running for judge? You're supposed to be neutral. How do you run for judge when you can't even say what your positions are? Does that make sense?
In terms of, you're asking?
Yeah.
Well, that's the limitations that we all have when we're running for judge, but I think, and that's why it's important for the voters to understand the work that we've done and what we bring to the table so that it gives them the opportunity to know who you are. So when you're trying to mislead from the beginning, it makes it very difficult for them to know. So that's why we did what we had to do.
In our final moments, sir, I want to ask you, why are you doing this? Why have you chosen to run for judge? Successful prosecutor, apparently. You've been rated well qualified by the Los Angeles County Bar Association, highly qualified by the Metropolitan News Enterprise, school board member. Why are you doing this?
Brad, it actually, it goes back to my childhood and the way I've been, brought up by my mother, who was a single parent for some time before she married my stepdad. And it's about community involvement, community engagement. I continue to be involved as a prosecutor in my local community. Mm-hmm. I'm raising my children not far from where I grew up, and I want to have the opportunity to continue to do that. I want to be able to serve as a role model for the kids in the area to see that, hey, this young man who grew up from a broken home, he's able to do it and accomplish it. So I could do that too, and that's kind of one of the motivators that really motivates me to do that and continue forth. And I feel that we're going to be able to do that come this November.
We wish you luck. The election's on November 8th. He is Efrain Matthew Aceves. He is a candidate for the Los Angeles County Superior Court, office number 42. His opponent declined our invitation to join us, so we thank you for your willingness to be here. Charter Communications is pleased to be hosting these forums with candidates for the Los Angeles County Superior Court. We thank Alan Friedenthal, by the way, for being our contact to all of you. Alan is a Los Angeles County Superior Court Commissioner. My name is Brad Pomerance. This is Charter Local Edition.